Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. Sorry if we baked you out there a little bit. A little bit of a glitch, but they got that taken care of. Happens sometimes. This is Atheist Experience. Welcome back on this lovely Sunday afternoon. I am your host, Martin Wagner. My co-host for today's show is Mr. David Clark.
Hello.
Thanks for coming back, David. We are live Sunday, December 23rd. That's right, 2001. This show is sponsored by Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. And that's David. ACA holds weekly meetings. It's 10:30 a.m. at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop, 307 West 5th Street, at the corner of, not at the corner, I'm sorry, between Guadalupe and Lavaca, except for the first Sunday of each month when we host our lecture series at First Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. However, the bagel shop was closed today, I guess for this holiday that's coming up this week apparently. So that didn't happen, and a bunch of people went down there and found out it was closed, and it was a big hassle. So sorry that there wasn't a heads up on that in advance. It's also closed next Sunday, which is the 30th. So sorry. So I guess there will not be those meetings, but ordinarily we do have those Sunday morning 10:30 a.m. meetings. At this time, we do not know who our January 6th lecturer will be, or if we're even going to have that. I've heard rumors floating around that there might be some panel discussion, but nobody ever tells me anything on these things. But February 3rd, apparently we have scheduled a fellow named John Rumrich, who will speak on the Milton epic poem Samson Agonistes, which sounds kind of exciting, a little bit of a literature over your breakfast, so that should be neat. That's February 3rd, but like I said, don't know anything about what's happening first Sunday in January. Hopefully I'll know by next Sunday. I can get an email or something indicating to me what's going on. Let's see, other ACA news. On January the 12th, ACA is going to be sponsoring on the Capitol steps a special rally celebrating the separation of church and state. It's going to be, I think it's at 11 a.m. That's a Saturday. We're going to be having some speakers behind the podium. I think it'll go for about an hour. Representative Elliot Neistat has agreed to be the guy sponsoring this. ACA has already, has also sent in a request to Austin Mayor Gus Garcia to make a January sort of official separation of church and state month. Haven't heard anything back that I know of. Not holding our breaths, but you know, I think we've actually done something like that in the past and gotten that across. So that will be Saturday, I'm sorry, the 12th of January.
That's on the south steps of
South
the Capitol.
steps, yes.
South steps.
So, that's right, the one facing downtown.
Yes.
Yeah, where it is, that's right. Next to that, nearby that interesting little Ten Commandments monument, which I'm sure we'll have a few words to say about today.
I'm very fond of that monument.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I think it would look good in any living room. Say Texas. Okay, let's see. So that's happening on the 12th. Now, last Monday, there was apparently this big pro-school prayer rally in Palestine, Texas. All the people who don't like the Constitution and want to violate it apparently had a big rally there. And supposedly there was a counter-protest that was being, I think, put together by the Texas Freedom Network, which is a church-state separation advocacy group. But no word yet on how that came about. Or what went down. I
also think I got an email from Shelley Hatton.
Yeah, she's the lady kind of, I think, masterminding the whole thing. She's from Metroplex Atheists and one of the presidents of Texas American Atheists. And with Texas
Freedom Network.
Yeah.
And she let me know in advance that it was going to happen. I wasn't able to go.
But we haven't heard anything.
I haven't really heard anything about it since then.
And there's nothing on the TFN website either.
No, I didn't.
Which they haven't done like a news report or update or anything. So who knows? Maybe it was a big no-show, but whatever. But as soon as we find out how that went and if it went, we'll let you know. We'll fill you in on the juicy details. Okay, let me see. Other news about just ACA really quickly. Godless Gamers, which ordinarily goes on Monday nights at 7 at the home of Jeff D and Manda, is not happening tomorrow night because Manda has come down with a cold, we're sorry to hear. However, it is going to take place the following Monday night, even though that's New Year's Eve. If you want to spend that sort of thing, playing games and hanging with other atheists, that's the thing to do. It'll probably turn into an impromptu New Year's Eve / Godless Gamers party night. And if you want to know more about that and how to get there, directions, everything, just talk to Jeff or Manda. Wednesday nights, having a happy hour at Antonio's Tex-Mex at the sort of near the corner of 183 and I-35. Is it happening this week?
I don't think so.
We don't think it is. So again, that's that.
As for Manda's cold, she's come down with a cold,
Yeah.
right? Well, if there's any Christians that are out there watching, we know that you're praying for our souls. Go ahead and pray for Amanda's cold. It won't really do any good, but you'll feel a little better about yourself, and that's really important.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right, fine. You know, intercessory prayer doesn't work, though.
Yes, there was a study that just came out, one that actually was double-blind and controlled.
Yeah.
And it found that actually about, I think it said 25.6% of the participants who were in the prayer group got worse. Some died, had heart attacks, so...
Yeah. But, you know, even the studies that have been done by the people who are trying to promote this idea and say it works, the results aren't terribly impressive. I mean, it's like there's this one group and they seem to get a little better. Well, I would think that an omnipotent being could do a little bit, you know, more.
Well,
I mean, you know.
a little bit better than just a little bit better.
So like, okay, you're cured instantaneously. There you go. That would like prove something. But it's sort of like, anyway. And what does it mean that if you don't have Christians praying for you, that God doesn't care about your health?
I think so.
Yeah, that seems to be the other implication. It's like, oh, well, these poor sick people aren't being prayed for. I don't care about them. Whatever. Anyway, just more moronity. Trying to use the trappings of science to give credence to this completely nonsensical faith in the interest of sucking you into their churches and draining your wallets. That's what that's all about. Okay, anyway, so kids, that's the announcements. Oh yes, The Non-Prophets is a swell new radio show that's happening Saturday afternoons at 2, hosted by this program's former host Jeff D, co-hosted by Vic Farrow. Russell Glasser's also on hand. That is on the atheistnetwork.com website, which is an online internet radio station for atheist programming. Atheistnetwork.com. Your browser, your web browser, will need the Real Player plugin in order to hear the audio stream. And if you want to participate on the show live, there's a really great chat feature too that you can just type in comments and then they'll respond on the air in lieu of a live call-in, but the chat feature is a really fun little interactive thing. That's atheistnetwork.com, 2 p.m. Saturdays, The Non-Prophets, hosted by Jeff D. and Vic Farrow. All kinds of fun. Let's see. Now, a really important announcement. You know that there's this, a very, very special person has a birthday coming up this coming Tuesday. I don't know about that, right?
Yes, yes.
That's right, folks.
Yes.
Sir Isaac Newton was born on December 25th, 1642, the man who pretty much taught us everything that we know about most physics. You know, we have to thank for much of our understanding about the universe and the world we live in. He was born on December 25th, 1642. So thanks, Isaac, for all you did, even though you can't hear me because you're dead. But we still love you anyway. Yes, thank you. We'd also would just like to send a shout out to one of our beloved members, Larry Mayfield. Great guy. Unfortunately, he's having some medical problems right now. He's been in the hospital for some time. Kind of serious, but he seems like he's doing okay. We just want to say, hey, Larry, we're all thinking about you. I hope you get better. Larry is the guy whose parents live in the town in Texas where they make Dr. Pepper with the original recipe, with imperial pure cane sugar.
Cane sugar, that's right.
Yeah, instead of the corn syrup, and it's a better drink with that stuff. So it's yummy stuff. Larry, you're my supplier, so you know, if you die, I'm going to be really annoyed with you. No, of course, he's nowhere near that bad. He's in great shape, doing well. We're very, very sorry that this happened to him, and we're really, really happy about it. Of course, we're not. I just said it was a better drink. Give me a break. I wasn't saying, everybody, drop what you're doing right now and rush right up to your. Come on. I just said yummy, yummy. I like it. That's what I was saying. Okay. You do have to be careful about the rules here, though. I think we are. Anyway, okay. We're gonna go to the news. This is a live call-in show. You can call us on the phone and yell at us if you like, or tell us, hey, you're doing great, and you know, and stuff like that. However, there's a number to call us, 477-2288. However, before you do, keep in mind we have a wonderful website. at atheist-community.org and a voicemail to 371-2911. If you've never seen our show before and you want to call us up, check our website first, because we have a highly informative, frequently asked questions fact page on the website where we have compiled sort of all the most common questions that we get from people on this show, just because there's some questions we seem to get every week and we get a little tired of answering them here, so that's where it is. You know, stuff like, well, how come you guys don't believe in God, and you know, and how can you be moral if you're an atheist, and if you don't believe in God, you know, where did puppies come from? You know, stuff like that. So that's all up there on the web. Have a gander at that, and then call us up. Mr. David Clark is co-hosting today. As some of you might know, we have our co-host candidates doing their second rotation through the mill, and after next week, at which point we'll have there's David. Hi, David. How are you?
Doing fine.
Good. Nice to see you. And then next week, Ashley Perrion will be on, our third candidate, at which point on the atheist-community.org website, we will have our viewer vote. And so you can pick our new permanent co-host, and then that person will make their permanent debut on January the 6th on the show. So take it away, David, with the news.
Well, since this is our show closest to the winter holidays, to December 25th, I think that
Christians are having some holiday.
They are having some holiday. I think it's very important that we go ahead and honor. Yes, a lot of that, and the mall is a zoo. You know, so just but it's very important, since this is the closest show to our winter holiday, that we go ahead and talk about that, because we just can't leave something like that out. You know? No, we can't.
We can't.
So, in honor of that, I want to go ahead and talk about beings that possibly should be worshipped on December 25th. There's King Osiris of Egypt, the god Saturn. The Romans honored Saturn in the festival of Saturnalia. Mithra of Persia, Buddha of India, Krishna of India, and Horus of Egypt. All of these were born on December 25th, born of a virgin. Many of them, their birth was foretold with a star in the east, and they had wise men and shepherds. Many of these myths were around long before Jesus and include crucifixion, raising from the dead, and miracles such as walking on water and raising other people from the dead. So, when you sit down on December 25th and look at your manger scene, it would be a good idea for you to thank all those pagan religions.
Put a little Eye of Horus next to it.
Put a little, a little Eye of Horus. Thank all those pagan religions that preceded that manger scene, so that you could now have the manger scene that is a copy of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. We should multiple gods that you may worship on December 25th, and be perfectly historical about it.
Yeah. Of course, now we don't worship any of them.
No, we don't. But you know, just it's quite interesting. Quite interesting.
And here's a really terrific bit of information that you gave me last time you were on the show, wasn't it? Having to do with like the
winter solstice, right?
Or the actual the history of the celebrations of these. Kind of going back with some dates. Let's see. There's okay. Yeah, let's just the whole history of how the holiday kind of came to be, and how it sort of took over from the Yuletide ceremonies and the other pagan ceremonies that were already happening at that time of year. Since there was no central Christian authority at the time, it took centuries before the tradition was universally developed. Let's see, Eastern churches began to celebrate Christmas after the year 375. The church in Jerusalem started in the 7th century. Ireland started in the 5th century, Austria, England, and Switzerland in the 8th, and the Slavic lands in the 9th and the 10th centuries. Many symbols and practices associated with Christmas are of pagan origin, evidently. Holly, ivy, mistletoe, Yule log, giving of gifts, decorated evergreen tree, magical reindeer, etc. And also, what's interesting is, because the decorating of the tree, the Bible acknowledges that that is a pagan thing and speaks out against it.
Yes.
And I believe it is Jeremiah 10:2.
Right.
Jeremiah 10:2, where it says, "Don't do this. This is not a good godly thing to do, to have a tree hauled into your house and decorated with sparkly stuff." Okay, so anyway, what else do we have?
Oh, well, let me see here. Well, we can have some science news. Apparently, NASA astronomers have found the first of sugary organic compounds in primordial space rocks recovered on Earth. Sugar chemistry appears to be involved in life as far back as our records go, says George Cooper, lead scientist for the report. They said this is very interesting because many scientists speculate that intense bombardments of comets and meteorites about 4 billion years ago contributed to the dawn of life on our planet. The extraterrestrial rain delivered essential organic materials such as oxygen, sulfur, hydrogen, and nitrogen. The substances that have been discovered on these rocks are basically sugar, almost identical to what we have right now, the sugar that you would eat. Very, very similar, which is a building block. And
that's one of the organic materials.
Yes, and very important
molecules that are, which very common throughout the universe apparently,
yes.
Especially around hot, white, very young stars.
Yes.
Which kind of throws a little bit of cold water on the whole argument that the creationists like to make, that the odds of this stuff just being around is vanishingly small. Well, no, not really. Apparently, it's everywhere.
Apparently, it's a lot of different places.
Yeah. Now, also, I think in relation to that, the current thinking now, although the Mars rock that they thought had bacteria in it, and now they're thinking, well, maybe not. But there is growing support now for the idea that the surface of Mars just used to be totally covered in oceans. Lot of liquid water there. And some of the forthcoming Mars missions that are going to happen towards, as near the end of this decade, are going to be looking for trapped water under the surface and things like that. They think there's very strong odds that that could be present. In which case, you could again very well have some microbial life. So it'll all be very interesting exploration in the next few years.
Okay. Next. Karl Rove, President Bush's top political advisor, said that Republicans did not rally enough religious conservatives to the polls in last year's presidential race. Mr. Rove suggested that the administration would do even more to reach out to those white evangelicals who are among the Republicans' most ardent supporters. If you were,
what do they want?
If you are in America and you're feeling ostracized by some political parties, it may be getting worse.
Well, I think they're just they're probably annoyed with all those retired Jews in Florida voting for Lieberman and Gore, probably still. And they're thinking, oh, we didn't get enough of our people out there to just really, we ended up having that very narrow margin. So I don't know.
So
anyway,
another survey has shown that the vast majority of Americans believe in angels. Americans overwhelmingly believe in the angels that heralded the birth of Jesus 2,000 years ago and think they still walk the earth in these modern days. 1 out of every 5 Americans believes he or she has seen an angel or knows someone who has, according to a survey of 1,127 adult residents of the U.S. conducted by Scripps Howard News Service and Ohio University. Now, I've got to say that it is absolutely ludicrous that anybody is out there believing in angels when stuff like leprechauns and the monster in the bed that grabs your ankles when you get close, there's incontrovertible proof for those. And they're believing in angels. I just can't imagine it. I cannot imagine it. I have to jump because that little monster will grab my ankles.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And all the the gremlins that continually rearrange my desk in my office so they can never find anything.
The messy desk gremlins.
I'm really annoyed with them too.
Yes, it's pretty bad.
So, I wish those angels would take care of those gremlins.
Now, Paul Kurtz, which most of us know Paul Kurtz, Professor Emeritus of Philosophy at the University of Buffalo and founder of the Council for Secular Humanism, replied to this survey by saying, "This is all very disturbing, even tragic in a way. Angels have come back, as have other superstitions like a belief in vampires or satanic forces." It said that the mass media have dramatized angels as being factual and criticized a decline in critical thinking and scientific literacy. And that's something that has always bothered me. You'll see articles in the paper that talk about, this person's brushed with an angel or whatever, any number, but it starts the article from an assumption that this is fact. It's just
whatever's happened. It's the entertainment journalization, that's not really a word, but of journalism in this country.
It's a word if you want to make it a word.
It's journalism in this country has just been a form of TV entertainment for ratings.
Yes.
Journalism at one time used to be about hard-bitten skepticism and investigation. Now it's all about, oh, report whatever kooky thing sounds good, to get all, the nitwit crowd to turn in and, get those Nielsen's up. It's really shameful. Very embarrassing. Okay, is that all we got, or we have one more?
We got one more. Do you want to do it later, or go ahead?
No, let's do that one now. I think it was important.
Okay. In a fundraising letter to more than 2 million Christians, the Reverend Jerry Falwell has pledged to take advantage of President Bush's current popularity and press aggressively for a family values agenda for the United States. The minister cited his friendship with the president, saying, "President Bush and I are longtime friends. He's counting on me to mobilize my Christian supporters," etc., etc. He added that Bush was very excited when Falwell told him about the new lobbying campaign called the Christian Call to Action. A White House spokesman, however, told the Times that he was not aware of any such conversation between the two leaders.
Yeah, Bush is kind of busy right now, isn't he?
He's a little busy. Little war going on, and what you have here is Falwell apparently using the president and this whole time in our nation as for agenda building.
Yeah, it's exploiting the current situation for personal gain, which is the second time since September 11th he does. Make no mistake. Okay, everybody knows Jerry Falwell's a scumbag anyway, but we just like to keep reminding people because it's fun. Okay, this man is scum of the earth. All right, Jerry Falwell sees September 11th as an opportunity to be exploited. Okay, and I don't care what you hear him say on any of these talk shows, that gives him a voice. He doesn't give a damn about the people who died in the World Trade Center or the Pentagon. He doesn't give a damn about the people who died on those airplanes. Jerry Falwell gives a damn about Jerry Falwell and Jerry Falwell's bank account and Jerry Falwell's power politically. That's what Jerry Falwell gives a damn about. And every time this guy opens his mouth, we're going to be on him. So, like flies on stuff that flies get on. So just to let you know that, we're here to sort of like shoot these guys down with their pathetic little money grubbing schemes. Okay, so that's it then.
Yeah, that's what I've got right here.
Okay, thanks, David. Now we have a caller on the line, and we appreciate it. Just hang on for a sec. We're going to get to you in a minute because we do have an important thing to discuss. A little bit of old business from last week's show, and I want to get this on the plate first. Last week's show was an interesting show. It's kind of a mellow show. It's laid back. Wasn't really until about the last 20 minutes that the Fruit Loops fell off the shelf and we got the weirdos. But for the most part, it was a pretty nice laid back show. All the callers were polite, and that's fine when we have those. I don't mind this. But we did have one guy right there towards the end who called us up challenging me on some of the Jefferson quotes, Thomas Jefferson quotes that I like to read, and insisting very vocally that Thomas Jefferson was this Protestant Christian practicing, and swore that he would get his research materials and call us up this week. Well, the thing is, we do research around here too, and after last week's show, the ACA's crack research team sprung into action, and
with our vast resources that we have.
That's right. Yeah, well, it's called a modem, and thanks to Russell and other guys who kind of got on this, we found a bunch of stuff having to do with what were Thomas Jefferson's personal religious beliefs. Jefferson is among our actual past presidents probably the guy who is most who is least devout. Politicians today will just play the God game to get the votes, and it's all very cynical. But Jefferson, overall, we have several sources. One of our main sources is the actual Monticello website. Now, Monticello is Jefferson's estate. It's a big tourist attraction out in Virginia. And so this is his website, put together by the people who maintain his estate. And they have access to his library and all his papers, and they know what they're talking about. And we also got some other information from some quotes from a book of his writings called The Writings of Thomas Jefferson, issued under the auspices of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial Association of the United States. And this was a compendium published in 1907. And the text of it's on the web. But anyway, the short version is this. Okay, Thomas Jefferson liked to keep his own personal religious beliefs kind of close to the vest. But now, he was raised in the Anglican Church. However, he was influenced by English deists such as Bolingbroke and Shaftesbury. Thus, in the spirit of the Enlightenment, he made the following recommendation to his nephew Peter Carr in 1787, quote, "Question with boldness even the existence of God, because if there be one, he must more approve of the homage of reason than that of blindfolded fear." Jefferson believed in God, yes. Jefferson even believed that Jesus existed and that Jesus went around like saying lots of really good stuff. He considered, Jefferson considered Jesus' moral teachings to be, some of the best stuff out there. I would disagree, but overall, he didn't deny the existence of Jesus, but he did deny the divinity of Jesus. And this is made abundantly clear in several historical sites on the web, including Monticello.org, who would know just as well as anybody, as well as in the text of a version of the New Testament that Jefferson famously put together called the Jefferson Bible.
The Jefferson Bible, that's what I was going to say. It was his very own works.
That's right, where he put together essentially this edited version of the New Testament in which he basically
put together what was important, what he thought was important.
Yeah, he kept all of the the moral and ethical teachings, stripped out all of the religion, all of the supernatural claims, the claims of miracles, the claims of divinity, even the resurrection. Okay, Jefferson believed in the existence of a supreme being who was the creator and sustainer of the universe and the ultimate ground of being. But this was not the triune deity of Orthodox Christianity. He also rejected the idea of the divinity of Christ. And as far as I know, and from my memory of being a Christian, and you were a Christian at one time,
yes.
From what I hear, Christians say you can't be a Christian if you don't agree, right, that Jesus was the Son of God,
right,
died on the cross, and was resurrected.
Yes.
If you don't believe in the resurrection, Monticello?
Monticello.
What I've been saying, Monticello?
Monticello.
Monticello? Monticello?
Monticello.
Monticello. Yeah. Monticello. Cello. Right. Well, the big house that he lived in. Yeah.
That was a listener pointing that out.
Oh, a listener was pointing that out.
Yeah.
I mean, a viewer.
Yeah.
Thanks, viewer, whoever you are. I will say things properly in the future, I promise. Monticello. Let's see. Yeah, if you don't believe in the resurrection,
that's right,
you can't be a Christian, right? I mean, do you?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That statement. According to what is the commonly accepted standard of Christianity, is that you must believe in the divinity of Jesus at the very least.
Yeah.
That he was, supernatural, I guess.
Yeah.
He was born and crucified and raised from the dead 3 days later.
Yeah. Okay, so there you have it. So Thomas Jefferson believed in God, yes. Believed in Jesus, yes. Believed Jesus was divine, no. Believed in the resurrection, no. Believed in miracles, no. Was a Christian, no. Was raised Christian, yes, but was not a Christian himself into his adulthood and his professional life. There's some speculation on some websites that Jefferson would probably be what you would call today a Unitarian Universalist.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, since their Unitarian Universalism wasn't like a recognized thing in those days, you didn't exactly go to the Unitarian Universalist, tent
corner church.
Yeah, do Unitarian stuff. So, but in the whole sort of deistic view of like God as this kind of, indefinable creative force, he was okay with that, but not a Christian. Time for calls, shall we? It's that time, and let us talk first to Carlin, who's been on line one, waiting a long time, and we appreciate it. Hello, Carlin?
Hello.
Okay, we are very faint. Hang on, let our control room turn you up a bit. Okay, Carlin?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for waiting.
No problem.
Yeah, what's up?
I have one question. You quoted from, or you didn't quote, but you said in Jeremiah 10:2, it said that God said we should not have Christmas trees.
Well, he didn't. I don't think they actually use the word Christmas tree, but they do talk about not trees being brought into the home.
But are you aware that it meant trees in the form of carved images?
Okay.
And so my point was that you said that we should not have trees or decorate trees into the nature, but you misinterpreted the scripture. And also, furthermore, Christmas trees per se have nothing to do with Christianity and the celebration of Jesus Christ's birthday.
Yeah, they're part of the earlier pagan tradition that preceded Christianity, which I think is why the book of Jeremiah kind of disliked the idea.
But the problem was that you said that we should thank pagan religions that we have these old traditions to mimic and copy.
But we do, because how many Christians do you know have a Christmas tree in their house? They are unwittingly participating in pagan worship.
But when you say we should thank pagans Were you referring to Christians to think pagans?
Sure. If you're a Christian and you've got a Christmas tree, then you are paying
what
homage.
What does a Christmas tree have to do with Christianity?
What's that?
What does a Christmas tree have to do with Christianity? You made it sound as though Christians are thankful for a tree.
Well,
it has no historical basis for Christianity.
I would agree that a tree is not a historical basis in Christianity. However, it's not just Jesus and the manger scene that has become a central part of Christmas. Christians, a lot of people, besides Christians too, include all of these trappings, the trees and so on, buying of gifts and all that, as part of Christmas, which is their whole holiday for celebrating Jesus. Yeah. Therefore, they are unwittingly participating in that.
Because the traditions that were all, the reason December 25th and this whole time, end of the year time, was chosen to as the official time for the Christmas holiday was simply because for centuries this time of year had been held as a time of celebration for various earlier religions anyway, so it was just easy to go ahead and insert the Christmas holiday where people were already celebrating.
One more question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so you're atheist, so you say that God does not exist.
We do not believe in a God, that's correct.
Okay, are you all-knowing?
No, I'm not, are you?
Well, then by default, would you have to admit the possibility that God might exist outside your knowledge?
Well, if God's outside my knowledge, then who cares? If something's unknowable, then it's completely pointless.
Well, my point is that it's not unknowable.
So it's possible, is what you're saying.
If you say it's unknowable that we can know there's a God, then what is your point for having a show even?
Well, hang on.
Oh, okay. Are you saying that it's possible? In other words, that since we're not all knowing, it must be possible.
I'm saying that God does exist, but you refuse to recognize it.
Okay. Well, wait a second.
Then you have the burden of proof to provide the evidence.
Plus, you're turning your statement. You're saying since we're not all knowing, we can't make that claim. You're not all knowing, you can't make the opposite claim. And secondly, if you're saying that because we're not all knowing and we can't know for sure, well, then in that case, we also have to say, well, we're not sure, but
I'm not making the claim because I claim to be all-knowing. I'm making it because I have the Bible as a reference, as evidence. You can read the Bible just like it's a historical document.
So how come you don't hold yourself to the standard you're holding us to?
Yeah, I mean...
Present evidence. I have evidence. The Bible says you can read
the Bible is not evidence.
Yeah, the Bible is
using the Bible to prove Christianity is a circular argument.
You can read the Bible as evidence.
It's a circular argument. You can't use the Holy Book to prove the religion.
Yeah, I mean, you're going around.
Do you need a class in logical fallacies?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what a tautology is?
So why
every religion has its own holy book.
Give me
the ancient Egyptians,
one solid reason why God doesn't exist.
Why doesn't he exist? Because I don't have evidence that a deity exists. Until I have evidence that a deity exists, I have no reason to believe
you quoted Jeremiah.
I'm sorry? We were quoting Jeremiah in reference to the Christmas celebration. But we're talking about the existence of God now. Look, I don't have good evidence that unicorns exist. So should I just believe in unicorns?
Maybe you found a historical document witnessed by several people that had, in fact,
no, we have the Bible, but what other corroborative...
What year is this? 2001 A.D. Jesus Christ was the most influential man that ever walked the earth. In fact, so much that our calendar, at this point, is even influenced by him.
Well,
how can you refute
the calendar was put together by the church, which was the most powerful political organization at that time. So they're going to make the rules. But that has nothing to do with Jesus or the existence of God. We're talking about, I don't have good evidence that the Loch Ness Monster exists.
Right.
I don't have evidence. I don't have good evidence that there is not a hyper-advanced race of aliens living under the surface of Uranus.
I'll give you this.
So should I go ahead and
very intelligent.
Should I believe them? Should I believe that there is one in the absence of evidence, just because there may be?
I'll tell you this: you are very intelligent, but a word from
Why
the
should I
wise,
treat
you should
God
repent and give your life to Christ.
I'm sorry?
I studied religion. I trained to be a minister, so...
where did you go wrong?
I didn't go wrong.
It's called
I went
thinking.
right. I looked at the Bible from an objective viewpoint and saw, one, before it was even a matter of me being an atheist, I saw, one, how immoral and horrible the God of the Bible is, and I could never follow a being that was more immoral than I was, for one. And two, it was then a short step from going into realizing that there's simply no evidence for a deity and taking the freedom.
If there is no evidence for a deity, how can you declare something immoral?
I can say that the God of the Bible, as written by the people that wrote the Bible, is immoral.
Give me an objective by which you can declare something immoral.
Yeah, easy.
Because
all right,
you say-
God says, worship me.
No,
or
he's
I'll-"
saying, how can you say that something's immoral? You're an atheist.
Oh,
you have no
yeah.
basis for morality.
Yeah, it's called actions have consequences, all right? That's easy. Look, yeah, any being that says, worship me or I'll burn you for eternity is an evil being, period. You know,
Our
so
law
if God
says abide
exists,
by the law or be punished. Is that evil?
yes, but what do you mean? The laws
For
like that
example,
we have
God
here?
has laws, right?
You mean the
There's
law
a
that...
Hang on, let him finish.
The law of the land says you have a decision, but yes, you will be punished if you disobey the law.
Yeah,
By the same reason, God declares the law.
Are you
So why
talking
is that
about-
so different?
Are you talking about the laws we have here today in our land?
Sure, like the U.S.
Yeah,
laws
but
in
that's-
general.
Yes, but what you're talking about in terms of hell is infinite punishment for finite crimes.
Well,
And
if there is
remember,
no
hell,
life after death, then life in prison is considered eternity in hell, if you want to say so.
yes, but hell has no rehabilitative factor involved in it. It's just people being tortured for the sake of people
And
being
the way our
tortured.
society in prison is, it has no rehabilitation factor
That's
in
a
it.
whole nother argument that you may be correct about.
It's a
I'm
parallel
not talking,
argument.
we're not talking about how prisons operate. That's not the whole point of this argument. But you want to talk about God and morality.
If
Let me
prison
tell you
is law
something. In
and part of
Numbers
our
and
system,
Deuteronomy,
we should
when
talk about how
God,
prisons
in
operate.
Numbers and Deuteronomy, when God tells Moses, I want you to go out and kick your neighboring tribe's ass, kill all the men, women, and children, and keep the virgins as
No, that's actually Numbers.
Numbers and Deuteronomy.
Yeah, Numbers 31, 32, 41, where God basically...
Tell me how moral it is to keep virgin prisoners of war for your own personal use as sex slaves. I'm just curious,
And there's
because
also-
I
and
wouldn't
there's
do
plenty
that.
There's plenty of Old
How
Testament.
moral is it that we go and bomb innocent people without really
Why
knowing
don't you answer the
exactly?
question about your God, since you're the expert and you got the historical basis in your book first?
I will answer a question about God. Why don't we look at the...
Why don't you answer
benign
my
side of God?
question about God? My
choose-
question.
You say you're objective,
How is
but
it
you
good?
choose one side
How
of
is it
God.
good?
You choose one side.
Oh,
You say
I'm
you're
sorry. I
objective.
just see the side that says rape the virgins.
What about the
Damn,
side that
where's the
says,
sweet
"Believe in me
side?
and I will give you abundant life"? What about
Abundant
the side
life?
that
Wait a
says,
minute, wait,
"Your
wait,
ways
wait.
are not my ways, nor can you understand my ways"?
So it's okay, as long as he promises you
So-
abundant life, it's good for the old rape and virgins thing? You don't want to bother with that?
You are one voice in Austin, one voice.
And?
You're still not answering any question.
Yeah, you're completely evading the whole point. How is it moral?
And how are you moral to follow somebody like
He's
that?
advocating human
Not to be
sacrifice. He's telling Moses that it's okay for his armies to take the women who had not known man by lying with him. And Moses says, keep these women for yourselves. God is constantly,
When I
throughout
get
the
to
Bible-
heaven, I'll be sure to ask him that. But right now, that is not important.
Bah! Why don't
Yeah.
you be a little sheep then and
Yeah.
follow somebody that's immoral
the
enough
fact
to
is,
do
you're
that?
refusing to
Well,
hold God
who are
to
you
the moral
following?
standards
Who are
that
you
you
following, and where will you be after death? Who are you following?
We'll be at the same place you will be. We'll be in the ground. All
In
right?
the ground. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
You're
There's no
disturbed.
purpose for us
You're
to live
disturbed
now.
if you think
No,
that
he's
if
just-
you want to not even look at God's morality, you're disturbed if you think that it's okay for somebody to make an order like that to take virgin prisoners of war and use them as sex slaves. You're the one that has problems.
Okay, well, what makes your... Okay, if you say we should not do that, what makes you right?
Wait a minute. Whoa. Period. Raping women, good or bad?
We have to have a law that says, okay, what makes you
Whoa,
right?
no. Simple question. Raping women, good or bad?
Earlier you said...
Which is it? Is it good or
Well,
bad?
they were right. Now you
Is
said
it
we
good
make the
or
law.
bad? Can you
So
answer that question? Is it good or bad?
It depends on what the law is.
If the law said
It's good to rape women.
that would be okay.
If we had grew up in that manner and the law said from the beginning of time that that was good,
So what is your morality based on then? It's like whoever's in charge, whatever he tells you, then that's what you should do, and that's the moral thing.
basically what God said is right. Yes.
So God said it's good to rape women.
All right, thank you. All right.
Thanks.
All right. You have the horse's mouth.
Christians, you're free to rape women if you get them as prisoners of
From
war.
Carlin. Okay,
Have at
there
it.
we go. Anyway, it's amazing. They just, you want to pin them down on these moral quandaries, and they just don't want to answer.
They're worried about my morality because I'm an atheist.
And then he comes out and says, yes, if God said that, it would be okay. We're going to line 2, which is Michelle. Thank you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
what's up?
Thanks
a little
for
reality
waiting.
for a while.
What's that?
Like a little reality for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Thank you.
No, I was just going to say, too, about the rally on January 12th. It's not strictly an ACA event.
Right, okay.
Any theist or non-theist who understands that church-state separation benefits everybody is welcome to attend.
Okay.
And the other thing was, David, were you going to talk about the Boy Scouts rider to the education bill? Or
We have that information. I think we're going to bring it up in a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
What are we having a happy hour this Wednesday?
Well, that's what, 26th?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to Dallas.
Okay, well, let's assume it's not happening.
Yeah.
And do we know anything about what's happening in January with our speaker?
Well, I think Susan wanted to try to do a panel discussion.
Okay.
And I was thinking maybe we could just go ahead and try to hash out what we want to say at the rally and try to decide like what order we're going to go in and who else. By that time, maybe we'll know more about who else is going to attend, who wants to speak. Mm-hmm. So we're approaching people right now from other groups to see if they want to speak.
Okay, good.
So anyway, that's all.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for calling.
All right, appreciate it, Michelle. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, got a little bit firmer up on our plans for next year. So I guess we now go.
Carl on 3.
Yeah, it's waiting on the. Hello, Carl?
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. Hang on, control them. There we go. You're on the air. What's up? How can we help you?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you know, well, you know, in the military, during times of war, they have what they call conscientious objector status.
Right.
If you are in the military and you are an admitted atheist, is there a way that you can get this status, or is it only for, devoutly Christian people?
Well, the military, no, that's your history, but I do know that they recognize, do they recognize atheists? I mean, I've had the paperwork that shows, if you're killed in action, the various symbols that can be put on your stone.
Yes,
and the
atomic world.
That's on there.
Second door to the left.
Yeah, that's on there.
Yes. I was in the military for 10 years, and to be honest with you, I never had that come up because I wasn't a conscientious objector to anything. However, I do believe that, and this is just me speaking my opinion, I don't have any backing for this, but I believe that I have read some things saying that you could get conscientious objector status, and it did not have to be due to religious reasons. It could be for your own personal moral reasons. I think that's the case, but I can't tell you for sure.
There is an organization called the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers.
Yes.
And they have a website that's accessible through infidels.org, and they may have some information on that.
And what was that website again?
Infidels.org, and look for information on the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're a really good organization. I'm a member, and they have a lot. They'll probably be able to get you some of that information.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I had another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I have my facts straight. This is something I read in the paper about 2 days ago, so I'm not too clear on the facts. But there's an organization in Austin called the
Ethical Society of Austin.
Yeah, it seems that they got tax-exempt status because
under the
they're a religious institution, but they don't have.
They do not believe in a supreme being necessarily.
Oh, yeah. I don't really know anything about the Ethical Society. I haven't really met anybody associated with them. We have like a 501c3 nonprofit status as an educational organization. But we're not tax exempt. But I don't really know anything about.
I think they have a website.
They have.
I think it may be ESOA.org, but I'm not sure.
But I don't know that they're. I don't think they're an atheist group, but I think that they are definitely a secular organization.
Yes, I believe that's true.
Okay, cool. And one last comment before I hang up. The caller before the last caller, which I think his name was also Carl.
Carlin.
The guy who didn't want to answer a question about God's immoral behavior and said that it was okay to rape women if God said. That guy.
Yeah, he used a false fact to back up his argument by saying that the majority of the world uses a calendar based on the birth of Christ. Well,
that's right.
He should. I don't know. I don't have hard numbers, but I do know that China and India alone, which are 2 countries, that's not even including the total of Asia, is 40% of the population, and then you throw in all of the other countries that are either Muslim or Jewish. Hindu, Buddhist.
I think it is true that on a global scale, right? I mean, the Gregorian calendar is it. But that argument was a complete diversion on his part. We were trying to pin him down on the whole burden of proof issue and on the whole existence of God thing in the first place, and the rationale behind believing in something for which you have no evidence. And he was using these sort of diversionary things, like talking about anything under the sun, from the calendar, well, how can we use a Christian calendar, blah, 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 blah,
to morality.
Which is another logical fallacy called the argument for the appeal to popularity,
yes.
which is if everybody does it, then, then that's the way it ought to be. But he wasn't really addressing the central issue. But anyway, he had his time, and I think we pretty much figured out, we got his number, so anyway.
Yeah, but I just wanted to point out But
I don't like talking about other callers when they're not on the air. I kind of made a mistake last week, and to not give them a chance to respond any further is kind of unfair, to talk about them then after the call's over. But, but I just wanted to say, though, that false fact or not, it was really kind of irrelevant to the point that was trying to be made.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Okay, cool.
Well, we appreciate hearing from you, Carl.
All right.
Thanks so much. Just a note again to unbelievers in the crowd, check out atheist-community.org, for our bagel shop meetings, which aren't happening for a little while. Our lecture series, if you're an atheist and you kind of feel like you're off in the corner with no one to talk to, that there is a group in town, people you can hang out with. It's a lot of fun, a lot of neat people, fun discussions, stuff like that. Atheist-community.org is that website, and we're going now to talk to Rick on line 1 and see what he has to allow. Hello, Rick? Oh, good grief.
Oh.
I've done it at least once a show.
Rick, we hung up on you. Please call back and we'll shoot you to the front.
Yeah.
We're sorry about that.
It's the button that says air, Martin, not the button that says release. Thank you. Okay. He just gets so worked up. We're very sorry, but fortunately we don't have a whole lot of people backed up. Okay, Chad? Chad?
Did you hang up on Chad too?
No, I shouldn't have. That was the air button. Chad?
Hello?
Chad,
there
okay.
You are.
Thanks for waiting.
This is a funky little thing. Yeah.
All right.
You're good. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, man.
All right. What can we do for you today?
Well, I just wanted to call and voice my support for the atheist community.
Thank you very much.
I'm kind of quasi-Christian myself, but I see the good in a group of people who have doubt, because I think that any prominent figure in society, whether it be doubt, murder, whatever the case may be, I think it should always be addressed. And I think that the atheist community is a really great way for people to get together and say, this isn't right, this isn't, that's a whole bunch of people that are going to go and they're going to find the truth no matter what, and I really wanted to voice my...
So you are definitely for the unfettered free discussion in the marketplace of ideas.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And
constitutional guarantees.
Absolutely. And I was listening to some of the other callers. I'm not going to name names, but they were quoting the Bible and using certain passages to back their ideas, and I don't really think that that's the way books of any god should be used. I don't think it should be any kind of strategy option, whether it be in a war or in a conversation. I think that you should use words of wisdom to improve your own life and not to improve other people's lives. And you can't really talk about God unless you are a godly person yourself, a true godly person.
But what does that mean? See, that's the sticky issue when you talk about, because we've had some calls, that bring up a similar point where, for example, when you have like one group, let's say somebody like Jerry Falwell, and he does something that a lot of more moderate Christians find embarrassing. And inevitably you'll get a guy who says something like, well, he's not really a true Christian because he's not behaving in a godly way, and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And the question is, well, what does that really mean? I mean, obviously Falwell thinks that he's probably the most godly of them all.
Well, I think
he thinks that his agenda to use his religion to achieve, political gain, to him that's godly. To you, that's not necessarily godly.
Right. Well, okay. Well,
it seems to me that that's a kind of a really subjective thing.
Yeah, it really is. And to be truly objective, you can't look at God and say, okay, there's an old man in the sky who's twirling his fingers in the fabric of the universe, and that's who it is. He can blink his eyes and we'll be dead. That's just the basic Christian ideal. They sit around the Christmas tree and they think of this old man that they're going to go cuddle up to when they die, and that's just not the way it is. In order to really be, I think, and this is just my opinion, and I really don't want to push it onto you guys, but I'm just trying to share it with you. Sure. To be a godly person, you have to open your mind and actually work about thinking towards cosmic, I don't know, expand your mind. You can't just say God is one singular deity who has control over everything. You have to say, okay, God, it's difficult.
Well, let me make a suggestion.
Okay.
That, you know, God is potentially, can be, you know, I hear it used in this way a lot, and it seems to me that in that context, it's basically a word that people use to sort of apply to either anything that's just about, anything about existence or life that's kind of mysterious, that kind of gives you what you feel might be your own sense of purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it seems to me that, you know, you could use, you know, you've just found a word to refer to something that I think is all just part of the natural process.
Absolutely.
But you know, but why is there any real reason or need, you know, to use the word God at all?
There isn't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There isn't a reason. And
No.
to tell you the truth, if you ask me, God is the natural process. You know, God is what encompasses everything, be it
Sort of
nuclear waste
pantheistic.
So
to
pantheistic, right?
to human habit. You know, I mean, it's everything. And if that's the closest explanation I've ever come to what God is everything.
Yeah.
You know, and we are a part of God, and we are imperfect. And all these books of wisdom that have been passed down through the ages are merely tools at allowing us to help ourselves thrive in a more peaceful environment than the ones we know today. You know, no military would be needed if everything was working perfect. No debate clubs in your high school would be needed if everything was working perfect.
Yeah, now I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, because of, you know, human beings above and beyond, you know, other species. You know, we have evolved the capacity of reason and intellect.
Absolutely.
And when you have that ability to, like, think situations through, you're going to have differences of viewpoints on how certain stuff should work out.
Absolutely.
I don't think it would be a utopic existence if everybody thought the same.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. Like, I think that's what the idea of heaven is where everything works out, where there's no contrast, where you don't walk into a coffee shop in the middle of the day and feel self-conscious about yourself. You know, what you might be wearing could, you know, it's just...
Right. Well, but again, see, I don't, I mean, to me, everything, you know, everybody thinking the same way is, I don't really equate that with everything working out. I think everything works out when you have people who have either different backgrounds or different ideas. One person has experience in one regard. Like, you know, for example, you could use this show as a perfect example. I don't have the same background and life experiences as my co-host, and so we complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't agree with your assertion that kind of, you know, everybody kind of being the same and on the same plate.
Oh yeah, you know, I'm not saying that no one is the same. We're all very independent people.
We're a team. We're pals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I'm dubious about your.
Oh, I totally understand where you're coming from, man. But I'm saying that the reason that we do argue and that the reason that we do share ideas is because a lot of the things in our society are dysfunctional, you know, and as a you know, I guess as a reflex, society kind of flexes itself and tries to correct the problem, and sometimes it overcorrects itself. You know, as a species, we're not perfect, you know, and that's where rape and genocide and murder comes into play, and I think that, God, you know, it really is simple to see.
I think one of the reasons that I just, again, to kind of, you know, give my take on your points is that the reason I think that, you know, these horrible things happen in society is that it usually tends to be due to someone or some group of someones who have an agenda to pursue, and whether it's religious or political or sociological or a combination of all these things, and they seem to think that their viewpoint is so much more correct than others that they have some sort of right to just kind of bulldoze anyone in their path who doesn't see, you know, the correctness of their ways.
Right.
And so, you know, so again, and that's a situation where both, you know, religion and politics, you know, and all sorts of other movements have taken place.
But see,
and that's when you get things going wrong in society. I don't think you get things going wrong in society as often when you have individual people thinking, you know, what really is the best way to do things that are not only benefit myself, but the community in which I live, and what have you.
Yeah, you know, I think that a big problem that not only society, but just humans share is that they take themselves a little too seriously. They think that you know, everything ends at the human species. You know, we were, you know, and that's a big problem with the Christian myth, is they think that, you know, God, the world around us was created for us, you know, and we just take advantage of that, and we say, okay, well, we can bulldoze over the earth, and we can tie our in fences, and, you know, that's our right, because it's all here for us. You know, we can do that. It's our right as a human species to kill everything and anything as long as we remain happy. Which that's just not.
Well, no, you know, I'm sure not all Christians think that.
Not all.
Yeah.
No, of course. You know what I mean. But that's
guys,
like a deep instinct when people. You know, it's just something that people do. You know, if I need wood, I'm going to go chop down a tree, and I'm not going to give it a second thought. You know, it doesn't matter how godly I am. You know, if I need to survive, unless I'm, you know, really thinking about the tree's feelings, I'm going to cut it down, you know.
Yeah.
But
be one with the tree.
Be one with the tree, exactly. I'm just saying that instead of looking at things as far as politics go and as far as religions go, you know, close your eyes for a second and really try to grasp the big picture.
Well, I think that your beliefs can probably be summed up really succinctly in a quote by Robert Ingersoll, where he said, "The hands that help are far better than the lips that pray."
Right.
Yeah.
And if you just apply yourself to making your world better,
exactly,
then it can become better. And I think that probably sums up what you're trying to say.
Exactly. You know, and you know, God's really needed to do that. But you know,
right.
I think that a lot of people are weak-spirited, and they need that kind of anchor into a religious environment. To I can't really relate to that myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm only really quasi-Christian. But I can look at you guys and I can say, you know, they're not really a religious force because they don't really, you know, share God. You know what I mean? But they're more of a group of people who want to learn more about the world around them. You know, and that's.
Well, yeah. See, my view is that, for example, like, you know, the other callers whom we've had who've said, well, you know, what if this is just, you know, are you willing to admit this is beyond your realm of knowledge? And of course, you know, my response is, well, if it's, you know, once you use the word unknowable to refer to anything, you're through.
Right.
You know, and a lot of these are, you'll hear some defenders of, you know, some apologists bring up, well, I guess what I like to call the omnipotence argument.
Right.
Which, no, I'm sorry, not omnipotence, the omniscience argument, which is you don't know everything, so you should entertain the idea that if God is outside your realm of knowledge, then he could exist.
Right.
Well, sure, but there could be all sorts of things outside my realm of knowledge that could exist. But since they're unknowable to me, what practical influence do they have upon my decision-making in my day-to-day life?
Right.
Well, the answer's none. So, you know, if God's unknowable, then who cares?
Right.
You know, God becomes reduced to utter irrelevance in that context.
You know, I was pretty hardcore atheist for, I guess, about a couple of years, and then I decided that, you know, there are reasons why these holy books have been passed down from generation to generation, is because they must hold some kind of truth. You know, somewhere deep inside, maybe hidden in metaphors or analogies, you know, some other kind of, you know, literate maze, there has to be a way to unfurl the mysteries of the universe. And you can't find it in one religion. You have to go to every religion and take out...
My response to that, not to interrupt you, but the way to unravel the mysteries of the universe, I think, is not to look at old religious writings and try to prune, you know, metaphorical meanings out of them. I think what to do there is to apply the methods of science to examine the universe, see what the evidence shows, and then draw your conclusion.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is that, like, the Bible isn't like a group of stories. It's more of a history, you know? Like, I don't think that... The big controversy is that it's a holy book. It was written basically by God through the hands of men, but it was still written by men, so it's still imperfect, you know, and there's going to be tons of flaws that, you know, you just can't... I think that the only real way that a book could survive is that if it really was hidden in metaphors, you know, so that it couldn't get messed with too much. You know, like the story of Adam and Eve, of course there was no Adam and Eve, but you could say that in Sumerian text, Adam represented man and Eve represented life. You know, and you could go from there.
Yeah, no. In terms of like creation myths, have a basis in terms of the way in which they represent such concepts as birth, death, rebirth, renewal.
Right. Samsara.
All these things that, you know. Right. Okay. I agree with you there.
Sure. Yeah. You know, and I'm just saying that you know, sure, don't read the Bible, but don't you know, embrace God for some, you know, you can't do that. You can't embrace a religion and just take it from there and say, okay, well, it's going to take me to heaven just because I believe in it. You know, you just can't do that. It would be pointless to do that. You would really have to use your mind and say, I'm going to stop here and use the information that I have.
Well, we got to get to the next caller. We really do appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Great call. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
All right, bye-bye.
And, you should apply critical thinking to everything that you read, just whether it's the Bible or what have you. We're sorry, if we're losing some of the callers. What we like to do on this program is try to give everybody a chance to say their piece. We don't like to be like these mainstream shows where we just have quick soundbite calls and let people get a word in and then we cut them off and what have you. And we certainly don't like to do what a lot of the religious shows do, which is the minute you say something we disagree with, we cut you off. We do like to give people a chance to say their piece, but we need to let you go. So who's
3?
Jason on 3.
Jason
so we
on
apologize again to Rick for cutting him off unwittingly. Okay, Jason?
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air. Thank you for waiting so long.
No problem. I consider myself, I don't consider myself, I am a Christian. And I was just wondering, in this time, since it's the season of Christmas and all that, do y'all not practice it very much, or do you not practice it at all, or how does that work out, being atheist?
Well, do you want to start this?
Well, it's really different for everyone. I don't have a tree in my house. I don't really give gifts. I don't really celebrate it in any manner. I will go ahead and my mom is Christian. I'll go ahead and give her a call on Christmas Day and wish her a Merry Christmas because I understand that she celebrates that, and I don't want to take that away from her. Then there are other atheists that have trees and give the gifts and do all that. It's just really dependent on the person. There's nothing that says you can't celebrate the season.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I mean, I have a fondness that's left over from my childhood of the Christmas season, the holiday season. Christmas is nice in that it has become sufficiently secularized that pretty much people of any faith or no faith, if they feel like it, can engage kind of in the whole getting together with family and eating a nice big dinner and giving gifts sort of thing. So yeah, in terms of the secular holiday season, I celebrate that. I have no problem with it. To me, it's an opportunity to show my love and towards my family and friends. And eat lots of turkey and dressing. And
I think that another reason that I personally don't buy gifts for people over the Christmas holidays is because I'm cheap.
Yeah, hate to shop. Get out to the malls.
Pretty much it.
Well, I guess where I was going to go with that was it's my philosophy, and I am a religious person. The religion is not something I've heard a lot of people that are Christian call your show and force their views on you and try and It's. I don't think that's the way religion was meant, from what I understand it. I think religion's meant to give you a fuller meaning to your life. That's y'all's choice is to not have that. But
we have plenty of meaning to our life. We just don't gather it from belief in supernatural deities.
That's what I meant. I meant that y'all don't. Okay.
Right.
But I think I get kind of disconcerted when I see like you said, Jerry Falwell, people like that they're not this or that, they're lost forever. I think that there's a chance for everyone to do what they want to do with their life, and just through my experience.
Well, we're just saying that people like Jerry Falwell, through evidence of their dealings in politics and business, along with how they mix their Christian faith in it, that they're disingenuous.
Yeah.
That they're using. We think, from the evidence, they're using their faith for personal gain. That's
I totally
all.
Agree. I'm not a big Jerry Falwell fan at all.
And it is more so than atheists. It is the other Christians, the moderate Christians, who don't view their religious faith as something people should exploit for wealth or power. That Jerry Falwell needs to hear from. That's so it would much more effective for him to hear disapproval from guys like you than it is from guys. I mean, he expects guys like us to slam it.
Right.
But anyway, anything else?
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask y'all about is if since y'all don't believe in a God, what do y'all think, or how do y'all even imagine? There's so many complexities in life and in the universe around us. How do y'all explain that all those things have come around? I mean, examples maybe how the world is created, how it was, how the human body can function with all the different, different hormones that go through it and all the different, it's just a complex system, our human body and the universe around us.
That's certainly a very valid question, and there are very detailed and complex fields of science that deal with the examination of precisely how those things work the way they do. and it's an ongoing process of learning. So what I would suggest, if you're really kind of interested in the scientific examination of those questions, is you can get on the World Wide Web and you can check out both our links page. There's an excellent link on our links page at atheist-community.org to a site called Ask the Astronomer. That collects a lot of questions about such things as the origins of the universe. And biology has become...
Talk Origins. And
Talk.Origins is a site that deals with, for example, the evolution and creation controversy, as well as another site called worldofdawkins.com, which talks about what the most recent biological studies are. And
we're not trying to dismiss your question. It's just that obviously, due to the complexity of what you're talking about, this can't be answered in sound bites in any way.
Right.
And we are saying that those are
they're valid, good questions.
They're valid and good questions, and a lot of people in the religious camp who ask those questions, largely because of the abysmal quality of our public education system, haven't really been exposed to a really solid scientific education in terms of what biology really is, and what geology is, how mountains are formed, and how cells can subdivide and do the things they do. A lot of people go through. I mean, it's really pathetic in our country. We have high school graduates who can barely put a coherent sentence together and add 2 + 2, much less understand physics. So but to answer your question, that these aren't unanswered questions though, and these are questions that are being constantly explored and evaluated and examined. So the material's out there for you to find if you'd like to find it. Anyway, we gotta move on to the next guy because we got a lot of callers backed up.
All right.
But we appreciate your questions.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
hearing from you. Take care. I'm gonna cut that guy off. Okay, who's next? Would
One.
that be Jason on one? Okay, we'll talk to Jason and
Jerry on one.
Jerry on one. And then Jeremy is on 2, and Jerry's on 1, not Jason. All right, we'll get to both of you guys are lined up. Hello, Jerry. Oh,
Did you hang up?
here. Right, it's okay. Okay,
Jerry.
Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy. Hey, hi. How you doing?
Fine. I'm not doing apparently too well.
Jeremy,
today.
you are on the corpse of Jerry. We have killed Jerry.
No, we're gonna get Jerry on numero uno next. What is wrong with me today? I'm just sort of like, I just go from click. That's what I do. We'll hang up on the last guy, and then the next.
So Jeremy, thank you for calling.
I'm gonna stay away from that thing. It's not safe. Hey, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I'm kind of interested. What you consider. Like, I was just reading the dictionary definition of atheism as one who denies the existence of God. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would add a bit of a qualifier to that, which is, it depends on which God you mean. Okay.
Right.
I mean, an atheist, if the definition of the God that a particular religion worships does not make sense to someone, then that person is not going to believe in that God, in which case that person will be an atheist in regards to that God. There are 2,000 active religions in the world, and each one has a different God that it wants you to worship, and if those gods, if good evidence for those gods isn't given, then I see no reason to believe.
Yeah, I guess a good way to illustrate that, Jeremy, is that I don't know what your particular religious belief is. Are you a Christian?
No.
Okay.
No, but I'd like to preface probably everything by saying that I think that religion has done, and I hate the word God because I think it really doesn't explain creative force, maybe. I think it has done so much disservice to God, all these religions, all of them. I can't think of one religion that has ever really served God well. They all seem to pervert God and make God into something that it is not.
But remember, these religions are the ones that concoct the idea of these gods in the first place. So it's not like, your criticism there does seem to be taking as its foundation sort of for granted the existence of a God in the first place. And I don't think that you can really. I think that's the conclusion we're trying to reach, not the premise that we're trying to work from.
I think if you go back pre-religion, I think that people were not. They realized that there was something greater than man that they worshipped or they.
Well, I don't think that there's necessarily a pre-religion time. Even when you go back to our ancestors at the beginning that didn't know a lot of things. This is like, we'll use the term, they didn't know what lightning was, so it scared them, so they assumed that there was something out there that they are not aware of. And that's kind of the basis for all of it from that point on.
Yeah, but do you guys believe in something greater than man? Something, or do you think that man is the highest pinnacle of this existence?
Well, no, I don't think that at all. I mean, but the point is, and I'll let you go in a second. I was just going to say, I mean, of course, the solar system and the Milky Way galaxy and all these things, I mean, these are larger and greater than I am. Heck, I mean, it's when you get into these vague terms like higher power and stuff like that, and if there's anything greater than you, well, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger could kick my butt, and that makes him a greater, higher power than me.
Right.
So, I mean, it all depends on what you mean. Sure, I think that there are things greater than myself, but but I think that's a blind. I think that the question that we really need to be asking is there evidence for anything that exists outside of nature as we understand it? That's the question that we need to be addressing, because that is really the God that Christianity and the monotheistic religions are trying to put forth, that there is a supernatural God, and and natural laws don't apply to him, and he can do what he wants, and that's the real question. It's not so much that there's a higher power, it's, is there anything that is not only greater than ourselves, but that's supernatural, that, in other words, that doesn't abide by the laws of nature? That's the question that needs to be asked, and in that...
Yeah, but who's writing the laws of nature?
Well, the laws of nature aren't things that are written. The laws of nature are things that we have come to understand based upon how we have observed the way in which the universe and the world and things behave. Things behave in a certain way, and if they do it consistently throughout our observations of everything, that's what you then call a natural law. Okay?
So how would, love fit into that natural law?
Well, love is, when you get into emotions, that still, I guess I wouldn't use the term natural law, but emotions are explained in terms of electrochemical reactions in the brain. And when you want to break it down, I mean, to that, they're an integral part of who we are as human beings, and even some animals, lower animals experiencing emotion and showing emotion. But there's no reason to assume a God of the gaps, that we don't, we label an emotion love and want to assume that we couldn't have this without some sort of supernatural entity. Well, there's really no reason to take that step.
Well,
I mean, it's not very, I admit that it's not very romantic to say that love is just all chemicals bubbling around in your brain, but, that's kind of what our understanding. Doesn't make it any less nice. But that does kind of seem to be what it is. It's our brains working in a certain way, and it's not, as much as I would love for, say, Aphrodite to really exist, I don't think she does. Darn it, So the point is, look, we could find amazing evidence tomorrow that points to some sort of supernatural, or some sort of deity or some sort of being out there in the universe, weaving his spells and making things happen, but. The point that David was making was that it's, our knowledge admittedly is limited in certain ways, but we're constantly studying the way, and making observations about the universe. And it's, but if you don't know the answer to a question, if you don't know why something is the way it is, then all you can really say, honestly, is, well, I don't know that yet. We don't know that. And that's the appropriate and proper thing to say.
Okay,
it's not appropriate to fill in that gap in your knowledge with a belief, and settle the question that way. I mean, if you want to, that, not to say that, certainly scientists speculate and they say, well, what if it's this and what if it's that? But to just fill in a gap in your understanding of reality and say, well, there must be a God there responsible for that, and say, and so there you are. I mean, that's just not that's not the proper way to go about things.
Well, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I would love him as an emotion, because I think that love can transcend emotion.
Well,
you're not saying anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying you haven't said anything.
Yeah, I mean,
when you say love can transcend emotion, what are you saying? Can you?
Well, I don't know.
Narrow it a little
bit? Okay, it's like, okay, you eat an apple, right? and you can say, well, an apple tastes like this, but unless you've actually tasted the apple, you can't explain what it is. You can't tell me what an apple tastes like. You can write 20 books on the subject, but unless you've actually eaten the apple, you cannot taste it. So it's very tough to explain what love is until you have experienced that, or what one believes one has experienced. That's why I think it's very tough to deny something greater than us, or to deny the possibility of something like that.
Well, but the thing to do is you just look and you see what the evidence shows, and then you draw your conclusion.
Yeah,
Are there greater powers than us? Maybe.
But if the evidence is experiential,
well, but
how can you explain that?
But you just made that point. If it's personal evidence, if it's something that you've experienced and you can't explain it to me, well, then it doesn't really have any practical application.
At least not to his life.
Right.
I mean, now you can take something like, the sky is blue. Okay, you can go out. I mean, everybody can go out and use their eyes and have this physical experience of the color of the sky, unless you're colorblind or what have you. Okay, that's more or less of a direct thing that most people can look and observe and draw that conclusion.
Does colorblind have anything to do with color blue?
I don't know if you can be colorblind for blue, but
I don't think so.
I was just putting that as a possibility. But if you want to talk about some sort of personal emotional experience, well then, again, there's not a thing that we can draw a firm conclusion about, and so, I'm just saying, our point of view is the existence of God is either a matter of fact or it's not. I mean, either this being that Christianity, just to use the prominent example, either this being exists or he doesn't exist. His existence is either a fact or it's a fiction. And so if we can use the scientific method to determine that, then that's what we should be using.
Well, one of the arguments for my position about emotions simply being a matter of brain activity is the fact that in many, many documented cases of people with severe head injuries, they are not the same person anymore. They have completely different emotions. They act completely different. Their families don't even know the person, whereas before they were loving and kind, now they're mean and horrible and spew obscenities, or vice versa. Obviously, they've had a complete turnaround of emotional characteristics, and obviously it had something to do with damage to their brain.
Yeah, I believe that there are definitely physical things, but I believe that there are things that other than physical that are spiritual.
Right. Well, we just operate from a different paradigm than you do. We prefer knowledge and evidence to belief. Anyway, we got a lot of other callers lined up, so we appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call. Okay. Now watch me. I'm going to do it right this time.
One is Jerry, who you hung up on.
I'm very sorry, Jerry. Here. See, right one.
Jerry?
Jerry?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
dude, I am real sorry for being such a Nimrod. So I'm going to go and hit me.
Thanks for calling back.
Actually, I wanted to
appreciate you calling back.
Well, I wanted to preface it by saying, actually, having been cut off like that, it makes me feel a lot better about my faux pas with technology.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But also, I'm really enjoying the show today. You've had a lot of really interesting topics come up, and I just wanted to address some of those, if I might.
Sure.
First off, one of the stories you'd mentioned is this rise in belief in angels and the spiritualism, occultism, and so on and so forth. And from my understanding of history, anytime there's been a set of wars or a lot of social crises, people tend to fall into that. And it seems to me that a large part of that is because of, yes, as you said, our lack of decent education, and also education and use of logic. But also it ties with people feeling helplessness for changing the situation. And so eventually that frustration, it seems to be, gets turned to what they perceive as a higher power, a way to shrug off some of that responsibility for changing things, or at least a way to comfort themselves by feeling that something else will help.
When life goes out of control and you're scared and you don't understand, then right.
Exactly. And so I'm not surprised with what we've been going through for the last several years with all the different issues that have been rising up, whether it be the problems with drugs or the crime rate or et cetera, up to the most recent things with September 11th and so on, that this is becoming more and more of a prevalent situation.
Actually, are you aware that the most recent crime statistics show that the year 2000 was like a quarter-century low for violent crime?
Yes, that surprised me, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's just people got fed up, you know, and you know, that's a human nature question, much more so than otherwise.
Or it could be that the year 2000 was a special year where lots of little convergent spiritual forces helped to.
Oh yeah, all the bad guys got raptured away. So no.
Right.
Okay.
No. That was a joke. But I do see your point. I take your point. Yeah.
Also, you were talking about things like the Christmas traditions and so on. A lot of that, too, it seems to me that, yes, a lot of it has roots in paganism and it was adapted to Christianity over time. But myself, I was raised as a Christian and I've been an atheist for some 20 years now. And my feeling is that it still has those emotional ties, which also ties into something that your more recent caller was talking about, which is emotions, which, from my understanding, really, yes, you're right, it is brain chemistry and things of that nature, but it's also tied into, as he brought up, experience, which it's, over time, I think, an evolutionary adaptation to the things around us. What we find pleasurable, we associate with different emotions. And so I think that each of you had some points on that. And that, too, ties into what one of the other callers was saying about the truth of the Bible. I think that's a term that's thrown around loosely, word truth. There's a difference between truth as in factual evidence and truth as in emotional applicability. Things that comfort, things that help through symbolism, metaphor, et cetera, just as literature will do for a lot of people. It's a very comforting, and it allows us to associate and make some coherence out of the chaos of existence that we sometimes perceive.
Yeah, I understand that. But you know, that's, I think, then it's really what the kind of philosophy is all about, though, too. Isn't it?
That's true.
And we did, you know, and like to reiterate that, you know, we said that just because emotions may be at their base level, brain action doesn't take away from the experiences that you have due to those emotions in any manner.
By no means.
Right.
By no means.
Listen, Jerry, I hate to do this to you, but we're down to the last 5 minutes. We have a couple other callers we'd like to give a chance.
Okay.
So we appreciate hearing from you, and I hope that you get a chance. You'll call us next week and continue this conversation because it's very interesting.
And we'll try not to hang up on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I really enjoyed the program today.
Well, thanks very much. And, of course, you're invited down to the bagel shop and the cafeteria and all the rest of it. So you take care, sir.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay. Joey on 3.
I'm going to get Manda. We have Manda on 2.
Okay.
Hello, Manda?
Hey, Merry Solstice.
Yeah, Merry Solstice.
I just want to say, boy, what a lot of superstition. I mean, I was conditioned when I was very small that all good things come from deity, and it was like Pavlov's dog. Here, have a sucker. Ding! Jesus did that. You look at books for kids, and they try to equate all good things with religion. And
sorry,
it carries through.
That was just good. I'm sorry.
It's really closed-minded.
Well,
I heard somebody saying you got to be open-minded and you got to not just believe because someone told you, and that's essentially, well, just don't be religious because religion is believing what someone told you.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to the store and you see the guy with the Salvation Army bell. Ding! That's a bell. That's Pavlov's bell, conditioning you to think good things and religion go together. Well, they don't. It's my about 14th year as an atheist, and living without that superstition that there's a person that does it, that there's something in the gap that explains everything, and it's this entity. Things got a lot nicer in my life when I stopped trying to believe that. It was the puzzle piece that didn't fit.
Well, you no longer needed the idea that Daddy's watching over me all the time.
Well,
that's a lot of what it is, you know.
The last bastion of my theism was the thing inside me that I was told, that good feeling that everything's going to be okay, that thing that seemed to get stronger every fall and winter. They told me that was faith, and that was God speaking to me and being in me. And after I stopped believing there was a God, it was still there. I still have this thing. I think it must be very hard for those people who were told that's evidence of a personal connection to God, to drop the God part and say that's just something that some human beings just happen to have.
Right. No, I understand. All right. Well, we appreciate you. We got another caller.
Well, thanks for getting me on. Bye-bye, guys.
Wait, where are you watching the show from? Do you have cable?
Cable just got here.
Oh, sweet. All right. Good for you guys. Well,
take care.
Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Okay.
Okay, that was Manda on 1. No, that was. Well, I'm sorry to Nikki and 2.
You just hung up on somebody else.
We're at the end of the show.
You hung up on 2 people.
No. We have Joey on 3 is the next guy. But we just want to apologize to Nikki. We're not going to be able to get you to this show, so please call next week, okay? Please watch next week, same time, and we'll take you next week. We can't, but this is going to be our last caller, and it's Joey on 3. Hello, Joey.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? So we
got just a couple minutes.
A million questions I'd like to ask you, but I'll just ask a few. One is, what is the point of this show?
All right.
To have fun.
And the other, one is, do you not? And I consider myself an atheist, or at best maybe an agnostic, but I'm, I kind of. I don't know if you ever heard that Iris Dement song. It's called Let the Mystery Be. That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like I'll never truly know until maybe after I die, so I leave it alone. But my other question was, do you not feel that it is probably harder to be a true Christian today than it is to be an atheist?
Okay, we'll answer both of those, and we appreciate your call.
Right.
Okay. In answer to your question, point of the show, A, outreach to atheists in the Austin area. B, to explain to believers who have constantly gotten misrepresentations about who atheists are and what atheism is all about, to give you what our viewpoints really are so that you can understand a little more.
C, to hang up on callers prematurely.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that... also, let's see. Okay.
Is it easier to be a Christian
than
to be an atheist right now?
No, not in this country at any rate. I mean, this is a country in which not only does Christianity have about 75 to 80% of the populace, but our culture seems to encourage any sort of uncritical belief in any kooky thing anybody wants to believe in, and the mass media supports that. It's much harder to be a skeptic and a critical thinker because we live in a culture that says belief equals virtue, and skepticism equals non-virtue or meanness or being a bad guy. So,
and I'm personal experience. I was a fundamentalist Christian and am now an atheist, and I never got the persecution when I was a Christian that I get now. We got 30 seconds left.
Yeah, so remember, everybody, here, have a sucker. Ding!
Jesus did that.
Anyway, we appreciate our calls, and thanks a lot, and, happy whatever it is you celebrate now, and see us next week on the 30th. Me and Ashley Perry will be here. Christians, we don't hate you.
We just think you're wrong.
Bye. Next week, 4:30.
No bagel shop next week.